Here's a structured script draft for your video, crafted with depth, reflection, and variety of. The greatest journey is not across oceans or lands, but within the human heart. Unknown. When we speak about relationships, we're not only talking about love. We're talking about alignment of values, about two souls deciding to walk the same path. But here's the question. How do you know if someone truly desires a serious connection, or if they're simply passing time? Today, let's strip away the illusions and go deeper into the psychology, the behavior, and the subtle signs that speak louder than words. First sign, time becomes sacred. You always have time for the things you put first. There's a truth we often overlook in relationships. Time is not just measured in hours and minutes, it is measured in intention. It is the most precious currency we have, and how we spend it reveals what we truly value. Think of the woman who desires a serious relationship. She does not treat the person she loves as an afterthought. Instead, she allows her priorities to shift, not because she abandons her responsibilities, but because she understands this. When someone matters, their presence reshapes the architecture of your days. Imagine a woman balancing her career, her passions, her friendships, and her solitude. All of these are important, but when she is truly serious about someone, you notice something subtle. Her schedule, once tightly woven, suddenly bends. She finds moments that weren't there before. She doesn't just say, "I'm busy." She says, "I can make it work." And that difference changes everything. But why is this important? Because love, in its purest form, is not proven through grand speeches. It is proven through the willingness to carve out space in a life already full. Time is the stage where commitment plays itself out. Think back to the last time someone made you wait endlessly, never showing up, always having excuses. How did it feel? Didn't it leave you with the sense that you were not important enough to stand in their day? Now contrast that with the feeling when someone adjusts their life just to be present with you. Isn't there a sense of worth, of recognition, that floods your soul in those moments? This is what separates a casual encounter from a serious relationship. One is built on convenience, the other is built on intention. Let me tell you a story. A man once said he could never tell if his partner truly valued him. She spoke beautiful words, promised future plans, but her actions told a different story. Whenever he needed her, she was too busy. Yet, he would see her online, see her spending hours with friends, see her filling her time with everything but him. Eventually, he realized the truth. He was not a priority, he was a placeholder. Contrast that with another story. A woman deeply committed to her career, worked long hours in a demanding field. Yet when she fell in love, she didn't stop working, but she began rearranging her world. She scheduled lunches in the middle of busy days, she called between meetings, she traveled across the city after work just to spend an hour together. It wasn't about grand gestures, it was about the quiet, consistent ways she showed, "You matter to me." And here lies the question you must ask yourself. When someone says they care about you but they never give you their time, do they really care? In psychology, there's a principle called behavioral congruence. It suggests that the truest measure of someone's values is not in what they say, but in how they behave. If love is spoken but never acted upon, then it is an empty promise. But if love is lived through consistent attention, presence, and time, then it becomes undeniable. Don't tell me what you value. Show me your calendar and I'll tell you what you value. Time is sacred because it is limited. None of us knows how many days we have left. So, when someone gives you their time, they are giving you something they will never get back. That is why it is the purest form of devotion. And here is something even deeper to reflect upon. When a woman gives her time to a man she loves, she is not just rearranging her schedule, she is rearranging her life energy. Because time is not only about presence, it is about emotional investment. She doesn't only sit next to you, she is fully with you, attentive and present. In those moments, she says without words, "You are worth this moment of my existence." But let us turn the mirror around. How do you spend your time? Do you demand someone else to prioritize you while you continue to live as though relationships are secondary? Because love is not a one-way street. If she is willing to bend her schedule to create space for you, are you willing to honor her in return? Think about this. How many times have we claimed to love someone while giving them only the leftover scraps of our time? How many relationships fail not because of lack of words, but because of lack of presence? A serious woman knows this truth. She understands that love dies not from one great betrayal, but from 1,000 small absences. That is why she shows up. That is why she makes room. Love is not measured by the hours we count, but by the moments we choose. When time becomes sacred, you no longer wonder if you are important, you feel it deeply, undeniably. And that, more than anything else, is the mark of a serious relationship. Second sign, transparency over mystery. Plato once said, "We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy is when men are afraid of the light." What does it mean to be afraid of the light? It is not merely fear of brightness, it is fear of exposure. Fear of being seen as we truly are. And perhaps nothing tests that fear more deeply than intimacy. In the early stages of romance, it is easy to wear masks. We carefully curate our words, we select which parts of ourselves to reveal and which to hide. We show the polished surfaces but we lock away the shadows. But here is the difference. A woman who desires something serious will eventually bring her life into the light. She knows that no foundation can stand on illusions. Transparency does not mean revealing every detail of her life. No human being owes that to another. But it means allowing herself to be known. She opens windows into her world, and in those openings, you see glimpses of her reality, her fears, her joys, her ambitions, her scars. Think about it. What is love, if not the courage to be seen? To risk vulnerability, knowing that the other person might not always understand but choosing to reveal anyway. Socrates once declared, "An unexamined life is not worth living." But in relationships, perhaps we should say, an unrevealed self cannot truly be loved. Because if you are only loved for the mask you wear, then the love is not yours. It belongs to the mask. And so the question arises, is she revealing her true self, or is she hiding behind carefully constructed walls? Consider the difference. A woman who is serious about the future will not constantly keep you guessing. She will not weave endless mysteries to make you chase shadows. Instead, she invites you into the clarity of her truth. She introduces you to her world, not immediately, not recklessly, but with a steady unveiling. Her family, her friends, her aspirations, her daily life, you begin to see that her words and her reality align. Contrast this with a woman who is not ready for depth. She hides behind ambiguity. Plans are vague, details are scarce, her emotions are sealed. You may find yourself constantly questioning, who is she really? What does she truly want? And this questioning is not born of curiosity, it is born of absence. Transparency is a form of intimacy. It says, "I trust you enough to let you see me without disguise." And that trust is the bedrock of commitment. Philosophers and psychologists alike agree, the human soul yearns to be known. But paradoxically we also fear it. For to be known is to risk rejection. And so, many choose mystery, not because it is exciting but because it is safer. Yet safety and love rarely coexist. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once remarked, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In relationships the same wisdom applies. If you want love, be content to be seen imperfect. Because love cannot bloom where perfection is pretended. It grows in the soil of truth. Ask yourself this, when you are with her, do you feel clarity, or confusion? Do you sense an openness that invites trust, or a guardedness that keeps you at a distance? Does her presence bring light, or does it keep you wandering in shadows? Transparency is not glamorous. It does not sparkle like mystery. Mystery has its allure, it draws us in, ignites curiosity. But mystery without revelation becomes manipulation. It keeps you chasing answers that never arrive. True connection is quieter, deeper. It is the late-night conversation where the mask slips. It is the confession of fears, the sharing of childhood memories, the admission of mistakes. It is hearing someone say, "This is who I am." Imperfect, unfinished, but real. And that is where the beauty lies. Remember this, a woman who is serious does not need to hide. She does not fear the light, because she understands that love built on shadows will eventually collapse. Plato's allegory of the cave teaches us that people often prefer the comfort of shadows to the painful brightness of truth. But in love, to stay in the cave is to settle for illusion. To step into the light is to risk, but also to find what is real. So the question is not only whether she is transparent. The question is whether you are prepared to meet her transparency with your own. For transparency cannot flourish in a one-sided space. It is not a performance, it is a dialogue. Do you have the courage to let yourself be seen? Or are you still clinging to your own walls, hoping to be loved without being revealed? The wound is the place where the light enters you. Rumi. Perhaps that is the paradox of love. It demands that we let the light enter even through the wounds. And when two souls dare to step into that light together, masks falling, shadows dissolving, that is when a relationship ceases to be casual and becomes eternal. Third sign, investment of energy. Love is not passive. It is not a gentle breeze that drifts in and out of life, nor is it the silent hope that someone will magically meet your needs. Love is intentional. Love is energy. It is the consistent act of giving, not in a transactional way but in a way that nourishes, uplifts, and grows the connection between two people. When a woman is serious about a relationship, you feel it, not just in the warmth of her words but in the weight of her actions. Her presence is not a fleeting shadow, it is substance. She invests energy into you, into the bond, and into the shared journey of life. And the curious thing about this investment is that it cannot be faked. You sense when someone is truly giving, and you sense when someone is simply performing. Consider the difference between encouragement and indifference. The serious woman celebrates your small victories, not because she seeks validation for herself, but because she genuinely wants to see you flourish. She notices the efforts you make, she cheers your growth, and she reminds you, often quietly, that you are capable, valued, and worthy. Her energy flows into building you up, not draining you with doubt or criticism. She checks in, not as an obligation, not as a demand, but as a deliberate act of attention. A simple message, a call, a moment carved out of her day, these are subtle investments of time and emotional energy that signal care and commitment. They are the proof that she values not just being with you, but actively participating in your life. Her contribution goes beyond words. It manifests in actions, in the intentional choices she makes to include you in her world. It is showing up when it matters, even when inconvenient. It is listening when you speak, even when she is tired. It is sacrificing comfort when necessary to sustain the connection. This is not about losing oneself. It is about choosing another's well-being as part of one's own. And here lies the question. When was the last time you truly felt nourished, not drained by someone's presence? Think about it. How often do we mistake busyness for care, effort for love? A text here, a compliment there. These are gestures that, while nice, do not carry the weight of true investment. True energy is measured in consistency and intention. It is measured in the emotional and mental labor one chooses to give, day after day, without resentment. When someone invests energy, it transforms the relationship into a living thing. It becomes dynamic, breathing, and sustaining. Without this energy, love becomes a hollow echo of what it could be. One-sided effort leaves one person fatigued, questioning, and wondering if they are enough, or if the other person even cares at all. A serious woman understands the invisible work of love. She knows that romance is not simply about grand gestures or poetic words. It is about the quiet, continuous investment that forms the backbone of lasting connection. Encouragement, attentiveness, patience, and care are all expressions of energy given freely and deliberately. Imagine two contrasting scenarios. In the first, you are with someone who gives only when convenient, who disappears when life becomes complicated, who communicates only when it suits them. There is a subtle depletion that occurs in your spirit. You feel the weight of absence, the emptiness of inconsistent care. Love without investment is not love. It is an illusion. In the second scenario, you are with a woman who chooses to show up. Who does not merely say, "I love you," but demonstrates it through daily actions, thoughtfulness, and attentiveness. You feel fed. You feel energized. Her presence is not a drain, it is a source. Even small gestures, consistent and heartfelt, build an invisible reservoir of trust, security, and intimacy. The introspection here is critical. Do you recognize this kind of energy when it enters your life? Do you honor it, nurture it, and reciprocate it? Or do you overlook it, taking it for granted until it diminishes? True love is cyclical. The energy you give returns to you, not always immediately but in ways that sustain the relationship over time. It is also important to note that this energy is never manipulative. A serious woman does not give with strings attached, nor does she demand gratitude for the care she provides. Her investment flows naturally because love, at its core, is an act of creation and sustenance. She understands that giving energy does not deplete her, it defines her. And so, when you feel her presence, you notice it immediately. It is palpable, subtle yet undeniable. She enters your life as a force that nourishes, strengthens, and challenges you to grow, rather than leaving you to carry the entire weight of connection alone. Her energy is an affirmation: I am here. I am present. I choose this. Ask yourself again, when was the last time you experienced this? Not the fleeting excitement of novelty, not the temporary high of attention, but the enduring warmth of someone intentionally investing themselves into your life? Love is a conscious act. It is effort, energy, and presence combined. And when you encounter a woman who gives herself fully in this way, not just in words but in sustained, deliberate action, you are witnessing a sign of a serious, lasting commitment. Fourth sign, emotional consistency. Psychologists consistently emphasize that consistency is one of the clearest indicators of genuine intention. It is not flashy words or dramatic gestures that reveal commitment. It is the subtle, repeated alignment between what a person says and what they do. Emotional consistency is the quiet backbone of trust, and without it, even the most passionate relationships can crumble. Think about it for a moment. How often do we mistake intensity for sincerity? A surge of emotion, anger, excitement, affection, can feel powerful in the moment, but unless it is anchored in predictable, reliable behavior, it offers little stability. True love does not thrive on unpredictability or chaos. It thrives on reliability, clarity, and presence. A woman who is serious about a relationship will make you feel a sense of emotional constancy. You do not wake up each morning wondering, what is her mood today? Will she care? Will she notice me? Her presence is not a roller coaster of uncertainty. It is a calm, steady assurance that the person beside you values you and the connection you share. Psychologically, humans crave predictability in relationships because it creates safety. Attachment theory tells us that consistent emotional responsiveness fosters security, while erratic behavior breeds anxiety. When a woman aligns her words with her actions, she is communicating without speaking. You are safe with me. I am reliable. I am here. That reliability is magnetic. It builds intimacy, trust, and a sense of being truly known. Consider this. Love is not about grand declarations. It is about small, repeated truths. A simple check-in, a steady follow-through on promises, a consistent tone of care. These are the bricks of a durable relationship. They may not feel dramatic or immediately exhilarating, but over time, they construct something far more powerful than any fleeting moment of passion, a foundation. Contrast this with inconsistency. One day, words overflow with affection. The next, absence or detachment sows doubt. One moment, plans are made and honored. The next, canceled without explanation. The emotional whiplash leaves you questioning your value, your place, and the authenticity of the connection. Chaos, in this sense, is seductive but dangerous. It can mimic excitement, but it masks instability. Psychologists note that patterns of inconsistency often reflect unresolved personal issues, fear of commitment, unresolved trauma, or avoidance behaviors. But the key takeaway for you is this: you cannot build a meaningful relationship on unpredictability. Recognizing emotional consistency, or the lack of it, is essential in determining whether someone is serious about you. A woman who is serious will not only be emotionally consistent herself, but she will foster a rhythm in the relationship that allows both partners to feel secure. She communicates clearly, follows through on promises, and creates a predictable, safe emotional environment. Her consistency is not rigid or controlling. Rather, it is an invitation to connect deeply without fear of unnecessary surprises or emotional instability. Ask yourself, when you are with her, do you feel grounded or adrift? Do her actions match her words, or do you find yourself constantly questioning the authenticity of her intentions? The answers to these questions reveal far more than any conversation ever could. Consider an everyday scenario. She says she values quality time together. Does she then actively make that time, or do excuses continually intervene? She promises to listen. Does she hear you, reflect, and respond, or does she brush your words aside? The small, repeated alignments between intention and action form a psychological pattern that tells you exactly where you stand in her life. Emotional consistency also manifests in the way she handles conflict. She does not swing from affection to anger without reason. She communicates her feelings and works through difficulties with steadiness. Stability in moments of tension is perhaps the clearest sign of maturity and genuine commitment. This is not about perfection. Every human being falters. Every relationship faces turbulence. But the difference lies in the overall rhythm. Is her energy toward you balanced and steady, or does it feel like a storm that leaves you uncertain, exhausted, or anxious? Consistency, in this sense, is less about avoiding mistakes and more about creating a predictable environment where love can thrive. And here's a reflection for you. Do you notice and honor consistency when it appears in your life? Often we are drawn to excitement, drama, and intensity, confusing these for love. But emotional steadiness is quiet, subtle, and powerful. It is the slow, invisible current that sustains a river of intimacy over years, rather than the temporary splash of a wave. In essence, emotional consistency is an act of integrity. It is living in alignment with values, intentions, and commitments. When a woman embodies this, she demonstrates that her desire for the relationship is not fleeting or superficial. It is deliberate, enduring, and rooted in authenticity. Love is not about grand declarations. It's about small, repeated truths. This is the psychological reality. passion is fleeting but consistency endures. It is the signal that someone is serious, the unspoken contract that she is willing to show up, day after day with steadiness, reliability and care. Fifth sign, she talks about the future. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Malcolm X. There is a certain magic in foresight. To imagine tomorrow not just as a vague concept, but as a tangible reality shaped by your choices today, that is the hallmark of intention. And in relationships, few things are more revealing than the way a woman speaks about the future. A woman who is serious about you does not merely live in the moment. She envisions a life that stretches beyond today, beyond this week, beyond this year, and you are part of that vision. She doesn't dream in solitude. She constructs her dreams with the subtle precision of a storyteller, weaving plans, aspirations, and possibilities that include you. Think about it, envisioning the future together requires courage. It requires trust, vulnerability, and a willingness to share not just fantasies, but practical realities. She might speak about travel, shared experiences, living arrangements, career ambitions, or personal milestones. In every plan, there is a subtle question embedded. Do I want this person to be here when these moments happen? Ask yourself, does she speak as though you're temporary, or does she build as though you're permanent? This is the critical distinction. Casual relationships thrive on vagueness and ambiguity. Serious relationships thrive on deliberate inclusion. When she talks about the future, it is not idle chatter. It is a roadmap. Vision is contagious. When she speaks about tomorrow, you begin to feel it too. You start imagining weekends together, holidays celebrated side by side, challenges navigated as a team. Her language shifts from I might to we will, from abstract musings to concrete possibilities. This is a woman whose intentions are no longer hidden. They are unfolding in the very way she speaks, in the plans she makes, and in the excitement with which she includes you. Psychologists often note that the ability to envision a shared future is a key indicator of commitment. Humans naturally gravitate toward those who incorporate us into their long-term narrative. When she shares her goals and life plans and you see yourself embedded within them, it signals that she is imagining permanence rather than fleeting presence. Consider the difference. A woman who talks about adventures and dreams in the abstract without mentioning you might inspire excitement, but it lacks depth. You are not yet part of the equation. But a woman who begins using we instead of I, who speaks about challenges and successes as shared experiences, is signaling inclusion, partnership, and intentionality. Even small hints matter. Does she imagine where she'll be next year, next 5 years, or next decade, and does your presence exist in those scenarios? Does she discuss future goals and seek your input, your perspective, your participation? These are not trivial details, they are profound signals of a serious mindset. Visionary thinking in relationships is also deeply emotional. It is about hope and imagination, but it is anchored in reality. She balances dreams with practicality, showing that she is willing to work toward a shared life, not just fantasize about it. She invests energy today to prepare for a tomorrow that includes both of you. Ask yourself again. Does she speak with permanence in mind, or with impermanence as default? The way she envisions the future reflects her values, her intentions, and her understanding of love. Inclusion in her vision is not merely romantic, it is profoundly practical. It reflects respect for you as an equal participant in life's journey. And this vision is not only about logistics or milestones. It is about the emotional map she is drawing for the relationship. Each mention of we is an invitation to grow together. Each plan for shared experiences signals a desire for continuity, for stability, and for deep connection. A woman who dreams without you is not necessarily insincere, but a woman who dreams with you, who sketches a life that involves your presence, is expressing commitment on a level that words alone cannot capture. Her vision becomes a living testament to her intentions, a quiet promise whispered through the language of plans, goals, and shared experiences. Finally, the question for reflection is crucial. Are you part of her blueprint for the future, or are you merely a chapter in her past and present? Serious intention is not fleeting. It is built with foresight, with care, and with inclusion. When a woman includes you in her vision, she demonstrates that she sees you not as a temporary moment, but as a permanent possibility. In relationships, as in life, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And a woman who talks about the future with you, who includes you in the narrative of what is to come, is preparing deliberately to build something lasting. That vision, that inclusion, is one of the most compelling signs that she is serious, not just in feeling but in intention, action, and heart. Sixth sign, respect in action. Respect. It is simple in words, yet profound in its impact. It is the quiet force that sustains a serious relationship, the invisible framework that holds love steady when passion alone cannot. Without respect, love becomes fragile, a fleeting emotion easily broken by misunderstandings, neglect, or the erosion of boundaries. Respect is not optional. It is essential. A woman who desires something real will demonstrate respect in every action, every word, every decision. She respects your time, not because she counts the minutes you give her, but because she recognizes the value of the life you live independently. She understands that you have obligations, responsibilities, and personal pursuits, and she does not demand constant attention at the expense of your individuality. When she respects your schedule, she respects your priorities, your work, your growth. Respect extends to boundaries. A serious woman does not push, manipulate, or coerce. She does not blur the lines of comfort or autonomy. Instead, she listens attentively, asks when unsure, and adjusts her behavior to honor the limits you establish. In doing so, she communicates a truth often overlooked. Love is not about ownership, it is about recognition. She sees you as a separate, complete individual, not an extension of herself, and she treats that individuality with reverence. Consider this: in many relationships, love is confused with control. Passion is mistaken for possession. Intimacy is distorted into intrusion. But real love, the kind that lasts, thrives not on domination or entitlement but on respect. When respect is present, it allows both partners to flourish. Each person retains their identity while building a shared life, a life in which boundaries are honored, voices are heard, and choices are mutually valued. Respect also manifests in communication. Words are powerful, but actions speak louder. Does she speak to you with care and consideration, even in moments of disagreement? Does she refrain from belittling, mocking, or dismissing your thoughts? Does she value your perspective even when it differs from her own? These small, consistent behaviors form a tapestry of respect that nurtures trust and fosters deep emotional security. And here is the reflection you must hold. When was the last time someone truly respected you, not just verbally but in every interaction, big or small? Respect is not always grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Often it is quiet, consistent, and steady. It is listening without judgment. It is acknowledging your emotions without dismissal. It is honoring your autonomy while still choosing to be present in your life. A woman who respects you also values reciprocity. She understands that respect is not unilateral. She does not demand respect without giving it, nor does she accept neglect in return. She models the behavior she expects, not as a test but as a living example. And in this modeling, she fosters a relationship rooted in equality, integrity, and authenticity. Grounded respect is also about patience. A serious woman does not rush you to conform to her desires or timelines. She allows growth, she allows mistakes, she allows life to unfold naturally. This patience is a form of respect that communicates a deeper truth. Love is not about immediate gratification. It is about enduring understanding. Consider again the phrase, respect is love in its purest form. Love without respect is volatile, fleeting, and dependent on emotion alone. Love with respect is enduring, steady, and rooted in recognition of the other person's full humanity. Respect is the soil in which trust, intimacy, and emotional security grow. Without it, even the strongest affection can wither under the pressures of life. Ask yourself, does she honor you consistently? Not only in words, but in the subtle actions that define daily life? Does she recognize your individuality, your choices, your space? Or do you find yourself compromising who you are, bending to expectations, or adjusting endlessly to maintain connection? Respect is evident in how a woman allows you to remain whole while sharing a life together. Even in conflict, respect remains the defining factor. Arguments are inevitable, differences unavoidable. But a woman who respects you will engage in disagreement without cruelty, without contempt, and without undermining your dignity. She can challenge, assert, and express frustration, but always within the framework of honoring you as a person. Conflict becomes an opportunity for understanding, rather than a battleground for dominance. This is the grounded essence of serious love. It is not always glamorous. It is not flashy. It is practical, enduring, and profoundly human. Respect in action transforms love from an idea into a lived reality. It creates a relational space where both people can thrive, feel safe, and grow together over time. Ultimately, respect is the measure of intention. A woman who embodies respect in her words, actions, and choices demonstrates seriousness not through promise alone, but through consistent, tangible behavior. She signals, I see you. I honor you. I value who you are and I choose to build with you. In a world where love is often confused with desire, passion, or convenience, respect is the quiet, undeniable truth that reveals authenticity. When you encounter a woman whose respect is visible in everything she does, you are witnessing a profound sign of commitment. So here we are 6 signs that reveal a woman's true intention. But the deeper truth is this: you must first know what you deserve before you can recognize who truly values you. Do you demand the respect, consistency, and love you long for, or do you settle for less? Remember, we accept the love we think we deserve. Stephen Chbosky. And maybe, just maybe, the first serious relationship you must build is the one with yourself.